Hello and welcome to Career View Mirror. I'm your host, Joyel Crawford, and today I have Dr. Laura Sicola, founder of Vocal Impact Productions. And I'm a bit of a fan. So, I've already been following you for many, many months now.
Thank you.
So I'm really excited that you're on the show as a guest. And I wanted to definitely kind of dive deeper into what exactly you do. Like, what is your career?
Let me ask you this. When you talk, aside from, of course, on TV, where it's all your fans who are joining, don't you just wish that people would just listen, get it, and do it?
Oh my gosh, all the time in life.
Yes.
Every day in life.
And it's frustrating when that doesn't happen as frequently as we would like it to happen. So my job is to get that to happen more often. So it's really helping people, typically people who are executives or otherwise career professionals, to work on developing their confidence inside as they're speaking, their presence outside so people can see that confidence and get it, and then as a result, the influence that they can have as a result.
Excellent, excellent. That is so exciting because there are so many times where I've seen some very cringeworthy presentations or people even interviewing. Just last week I saw it happening, and I think that she could have used your help and influence in doing that, because it minimizes someone's credibility.
Yes.
As a speaker, as an influencer, and even as a leader.
That's the key, because leadership itself, it really doesn't matter what your role is. You can be in the C-suite and not be seen as a leader, or you can be an intern in the mailroom and be recognized as one. But ultimately, leadership really is just an image. And the way that you communicate, the way you express your ideas, and the way you help people to see whatever your vision is, that's the difference between getting someone to recognize you as leader or just you.
Yes,
right.
Absolutely. And that's really kind of what I like to do. I like to grow leaders for a living.
Yes.
So we could definitely use your mojo and your influence and your inspiration today.
Terrific.
So I'm really happy that you're here. So can you share like how you got started in this type of career?
I am definitely what is referred to as an accidental entrepreneur. I'm not a business person. I wasn't raised in corporate America professionally. My goal was to be a professor. I was a teacher. I am a linguist. I came to Philadelphia originally to do a PhD in education and linguistics with the intent of going the tenure track route. And a few things happened along the way that made me realize this wasn't a track that was really a calling for me. I think there's two kinds of professors.
Yes.
I think there are the teachers at heart who also do research.
Yes.
And there are researchers at heart who also teach some classes.
Absolutely.
And I'm the first kind. But in the tenure world, you're supposed to be the second kind. I love to teach. I love to train. I love to coach. And I'll do some writing and some research and publication, and I enjoy it, but it's not what makes my heart sing. It's the people stuff that I really love. So I kind of stumbled upon an opportunity or two to do some independent contract work, and I thought, well, this is fun. It's challenging, and it's creative, and it's autonomous and lucrative, which was always a nice benefit.
That's always good.
And so one thing led to another, and all of a sudden I'm doing this corporate training and more executive coaching. Once I realized that the work that I had done, the research that I was looking at in my doctoral studies was looking at communication, speech, voice. Where are the gaps that separate what I think I say from what you think you hear, which is where miscommunication happens all the time. How much of it is about the voice? How much of it is about the word choice or other elements involved? And once I started to understand the science behind that, this whole world opened up to how to then share it in the professional world as well and help others be more effective communicators and thus better leaders.
And what was that aha moment where you were like, I just don't want to do this whole, obviously you continued your research and got your PhD, but when was that moment where you were just like switching the gears?
There were a couple that came all around the same time. Initially, one is just simply the tenure track job market is abysmal. There are so few spots, literally a couple of hundred applicants for every opening that's available, and in many far out places that are just not where I could comfortably live. And frankly, the salaries in social sciences for the kind of work, the amount of work you're doing, in many ways was unsustainable. And my mantra became, I was never motivated by money until you told me I couldn't have any.
Yes, I like that mantra.
And I'm still not driven for money just for money's sake, but I have a family, I've got bills to pay, I would like to retire before I die.
Absolutely.
Perfectly. So you have to make choices that work for your lifestyle. So that was an important aha moment. And then there were two conversations that I had very serendipitously right around graduation time when I had to start making those career decisions, literally sitting this close to someone at a wedding reception who just happened to be a vice president of government programs at IBM at the time. And we were chatting, and he asked about my research, which I just defended my dissertation. And as I'm telling him about it, he said, I've always had an interest in that, and I've always had an instinct about it, but I never had the data to back it up. And I think there's actually some really relevant application for that for my global leadership team. Would you be interested in coming and doing a program for us? And I went, I could do that.
Yes.
Sure, why not?
Absolutely.
And lo and behold, I'm a consultant. And that's when I realized this is fun, this is lucrative, and I still got to teach part-time for several years as I was building my company afterwards, but I went, oh, this is fun. Maybe this is where I belong.
Yes, excellent. I love hearing those stories, and that's why I really enjoy having you on the show, because it's not always a path. Sometimes
oh my gosh, no.
It's not the ladder, it's a lattice,
It was a machete through jungle. There wasn't even like a rocky step path to follow.
No, and it's just not always laid out. And sometimes, like you said, it's accidental, but it was in pursuing all of that has paved the way.
Yes.
And so I love that. I love that story. I have the chills just thinking about it.
And you have to be willing to take certain risks,
Yes.
calculated risks. At the time I was single, I didn't have kids or major debt, mortgage, or other life financial responsibilities, so I could afford to eat peanut butter and ramen, not together, for as long as necessary till the business found its legs, so to speak. So you have to make those decisions for yourself, but you have to know how risk averse you are too. And I love the challenge. I love just trying new things and exploring till something really makes me go, ooh, this is fun. Then I can run with it.
And that sounds like the spirit of an entrepreneur. And when you had mentioned that you were accidentally thrown into this world of doing your own business. Were there any types of certifications that you needed in order to pursue, building your business as Vocal Impact Productions?
Not per se. I think if you're looking to be a coach, which is what I have become, there are lots of ways to go about doing it. Obviously, the ICF, or the International Coaches Federation, is a sort of the gold standard in many ways for different kinds of coaches. I didn't go that route. I have a PhD, which, because it's in such a niche area, that it makes me very uniquely qualified to advise, to coach, to train, to serve, and to support people in my world. Someone said to me once, when it comes to marketing as an entrepreneur, if you can't be number one in your field, then create a sub-niche in which you're the only game in town.
Absolutely.
So to the extent that there are executive coaches out there, and I am one of them in general, I'm not, unlike traditional executive coaches, I'm not going to help you make any business decisions.
Absolutely.
Instead, when you've made those decisions, you come to me and I'll help you message those ideas so that you get the buy-in you need from the right people to get the results that you want. That's my world, and that's something that I can help you do in a way that others can't.
And you found your differentiator, that niche. And that's really what comes about. And you had a lot of mentors and support that helped you come up.
Sure.
Did you go to any types of resources? I know that there's SCORE or small business associations. Did you have any help from that perspective in building your business?
I'm still getting that kind of help. You always keep as an entrepreneur at least, you always have to keep your eyes open, look for new opportunities to learn something new. I joined everything from women's networking groups to taking classes on writing business plans at the Small Business Development Center to eventually I've hired 2 different business coaches over the years. One when I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do with this company idea, and they helped me get some structure, et cetera. And then later on, once it was moving, I've been working with the same coach now for about 3 or 4 years, and he's really helped me grow and expand my business and hit the target market and grow the business overall.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So you have to keep looking for resources. Some are going to be paid, some are volunteer, some are all different formats, but whether it's a formal or an informal mentor, paid or unpaid, definitely keep looking for new input until you find what's going to get you what you need.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it does mean that you have to invest in what you need, I mean, and not, like you said, some are free, some are paid. But you shouldn't have to go into bankruptcy in order to do your business, but you do need to invest some type of time and energy and money.
Yes.
So thank you. Thanks for that.
Yeah, of course.
So how important is communication when building your career, especially as a leader? We talk a lot about it in your book.
Yes.
Can I
please,
show it
of course.
off? Speaking
like
to
I'm
influence.
Going to say no.
Get it. You can get it web, hard copy. Just get the book. Right. It's so good.
It's also available in Kindle, an ebook, as well as Audible. So if you can send listening to me for the half hour of this show, you can get it for a couple of other hours on Audible as well. I do my own audiobook.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, you've got a fantastic voice.
Well, thank you so much.
You should be doing your own Audible book. So in this, in mastering your leadership voice, you're talking about communication as a leader. Can you expound a little bit? I know that we only have a limited amount of time, but can you share some good nuggets of knowledge about the importance of communication as a leader, please?
They go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other, because when you think about things like executive presence and leadership, people talk about ideas like gravitas and having that technical expertise and whatnot, but you can have technical expertise, but if you can't get somebody else to understand and appreciate it and recognize how it informs your perspective on things, then it doesn't matter. People will want you on the team, not leading it, not at the head of it. Similarly, you have to be able to connect with others. You have to have some emotional intelligence and be able to massage your delivery a little bit, diplomacy, and understanding that your sales team needs to hear something a little different from your IT team, from your legal department, from whoever else. You have to be just as effective no matter who the person is and no matter what the nature of the content is that you're discussing, sensitive, exciting or otherwise. If you can't get through to their ears, their minds, and their hearts in a way that they can receive it, you'll never get through. And that's hit a roadblock that is going to just keep you stuck.
And you see it, I've come from the corporate world, and even in the small business world, it's so critical to be able to effectively communicate.
Sure.
Your voice is kind of your brand.
Very much
and
so.
if you can't articulate it effectively, you're going to lose a lot of folks.
Yeah, and there's so many people who start businesses because they love what they do, the technical stuff. They like working in the business, not so much on the business. But they're, especially if you're someone who's not as much of a people person, maybe you like to do the numbers, the science, the math, the research. At a certain point, it's not enough to be the brains behind the operation. You have to be the face and the voice in front of it.
Absolutely.
And until you're comfortable with and good at doing that, you're always going to be trying to get out of second gear.
And is there a way to fix this? Can you create a new you to raise your voice and your value in being a leader?
I'm gonna tweak that question a little bit, if I may. It's not about a new you, right? It always has to be authentic first and foremost, because if you're trying to be somebody else, you'll never be comfortable with it. You'll never feel authentic. But what I do want you to realize is that the way you're used to working or communicating in a certain context may or may not work in a different one. So learning how to expand that comfort zone a little bit is really critical. And we pigeonhole ourselves every time we utter out loud or just in our own minds, that's not me. Because we all said, that's not really me. Okay, well, that's putting a limitation on ourselves. That means I'm in a different box. That's not me. This is me. I will never grow past this. But if your business isn't where you want it to be yet, you want to expand that, you want to get through to this new client, you need to expand that
Yes.
realm. So it's all about growth. It's all about expanding your sense of identity. It's all about being able to communicate effectively with a wider and wider sphere of influence. So it's really just learning to disassociate the idea of authenticity from your comfort zone. Because stepping out of your comfort zone is necessary to learn, and there's always going to be awkwardness in that process. But if you associate that awkwardness with inauthenticity, you're just going to shoot yourself down before you even get started.
Yeah,
that's just total self-sabotage.
Going to get in your own way.
Yes.
So in order to get out of your own way, you've got to be expansive and flexible and agile.
And willing to be uncomfortable for a little while until you get good at something that you want to get good at. If the desire to be good at that is an authentic desire, that's where you need to be.
So be comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That is fabulous.
Yes, there was an expression I heard that was, every time you step out of your comfort zone expands a little bit.
Absolutely.
Right.
That is absolutely it. Well, we're going to take a quick little break.
Okay.
And while we take a break, we're going to dive a little bit more into this fantastic topic of communication and leadership. We'll be right back. Hi, and welcome back to Career View Mirror. I have Dr. Laura Sicola with me, the founder of Vocal Impact Productions, and we were diving very deep into the part of being an authentic leader and how important it is that you're not being fake, you're being authentic. And I would love to dive a little bit more deeper into that topic in relation to when I'm coaching clients and they struggle with having to communicate in networking and interviewing situations. And in your book, Speaking to Influence, you talk about this in great detail. Can you expound a little bit more, help my viewers with this challenge of communicating during those types of situations?
Networking and interviewing are uniquely related because on the one hand, they both in many ways are to serve the same purpose. You're either looking for work or looking for connections of some sort for a client or a job, but they're on different ends of the spectrum, right? Networking, people often forget, networking is not transactional. Networking is not about what can you do for me right here, right now, can we sign on the dotted line? Networking is about creating the beginnings of a relationship.
Absolutely.
It's about seed planting. So just little things like, can you remember the other person's name? Can you get them to remember yours? Do they feel like you're a good listener? And do they feel like you've given them some interesting information about you that will make them remember you and want to get in touch with you later on, whether it's because they have a job for you or whether it's simply because they have thought about you. They saw an article that might be of use, or they thought you might have some advice for someone they know and they could make those connections. Whereas an interview is much more immediate, much more transactional. Everybody is looking for the same thing, to answer one question, and that is, are you, this job, and this company a good fit?
Absolutely.
So it's a very different mindset. That being said, there are some elements that are really not unique to either, but the same among all. And number one, passion is more important than perfection. Right. People need to know that you love what you do. I met somebody a little while ago who sold trash and recycling containers. Not the sexiest job in the world necessarily. I loved talking with him because his tagline was, I have the best job in the world because I get to talk trash all day.
That's fabulous.
And I thought it was great.
That's
fabulous.
He
was fun and he was interesting. And I thought, oh, I don't need a trash can right now, but if I did, or if I knew someone else who did, I would definitely call him. I think about my accountant. I love my accountant. We've been together for over 10 years, maybe close to 20 now. Wow. Okay, for a long time. But what I love about him is that he'll call me out of the blue and say something like, Laura, I just was thinking about this and it made me realize this and I have an idea. I want to run it by you. And he's all excited to tell me whatever this new idea is. Mind you, I'm not a numbers girl. Accounting, I cannot imagine a job I would enjoy less or be worse at.
I know.
So sometimes my eyes glaze over a little bit when he's talking, but I love the fact that he loves it. Because why would I want to hire someone to do my accounting if they felt the same way I feel about accounting? That would be the worst hire I ever got. So I want to hire the person who's passionate about what I need them to do. I'm not worried about if they say when they're talking to me. I'm not worried about whether or not they're dressed perfectly. Of course, in an interview, you do want to be a little more polished than when networking, but I want you to be authentic, and I want to feel in my gut that you love what you do and you're passionate about it, because that means you're probably good at it too. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. And an easy trick to do if you're sort of concerned about not feeling like you're bragging but still wanting people to understand is, when in doubt, stay away from adjectives and adverbs, stick with nouns and verbs. What I mean is, you're going to keep your description of what you do and what you've achieved objective, right? So for example, I lead a team of 20 people in sales. In the past 2 years, we've grown revenue from point X to point Y. Hey, I'm just telling you what I've done.
Right.
Now, I'm not name dropping all over the place just to impress you, or saying it in a haughty way like, well, I grew sales this much in 12 months. But it's just stating, hey, here's what I've achieved, with who, et cetera, for whom. And if you then derive evaluation language for yourself, like, wow, she's really great, or that sounds like somebody I want, or she's really funny, awesome, whatever adjectives you want, well, then that's terrific that you came up with it on your own, because you'll believe yourself.
Absolutely.
Whereas if I say, well, I'm really good at this, or I'm the best at that, your brain goes, methinks she doth protest too much, or doth support herself, to her own horn too much, as the case may be. So just stick with objective descriptors without labels, and it's much easier to express what you do without feeling like you're bragging.
Absolutely. And that's, I think, one of the key things that my clients struggle with. And this is the time to toot your horn, but you're doing it in a way that's factual and results-based. And that's a great tip. All right. Thank you. Thanks. So let's learn a little bit more about Laura.
Okay.
What gets you out of bed in the morning?
I love what I do. I'm so fortunate that I've had the time to build the business to where I want it to be. I get to pick the clients that I want to work with, and little things like a couple of days a week I get to work from home, and I have a 3-year-old at home. So I got my corporate side and I got my mommy side. And being able to work from home when he's home with our nanny, I get to have lunch with him. I get to take little breaks. I get to take a little slower morning and see him. So it helps to bridge the gap between my two worlds and alleviate that mommy guilt, or that parenting guilt that a lot of us have. And it's food for the soul, and it's emotionally satisfying and fulfilling, as well as allowing me all the time I need to do the work itself. So I'm creatively and intellectually challenged, but also spiritually and emotionally fulfilled. It's a fantastic, I hate to use the word balance, but
like
knock
what my
on
necklace
wood.
says on
Is that
here?
what it says? Oh, look at that.
Yes.
It does. Yes, exactly. And it's elusive, that balance, but every now and then it is possible to find at least the right equation, if you will, that makes it work for you. And that's just something you can't pay for.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. I do like to talk about flow, work-life flow. It's kind of like you said, it's the balance is not always 50-50 or what have you.
Right.
But there's this flow and ease that comes to it, and that's your why. Is you're able to do what you love and be around the people that you love too, which is what a great gift.
Yes.
And you don't get that in a 9-to-5 kind of situation all the time. People aren't graced with that as often. So that's fantastic.
And that was something that I really built into my career as I started going into this world. I said, I know that eventually I want a family. I want to have some flexibility. So I built my schedule, and I built my service offerings and my work style so that I would be able to flex when and if the time came. And when it finally did, it was all kind of ready to go, and I was able to flex around that. So there was some planning in those wheels.
And were you able to flex it to, I'm sure it had to adjust, when different things came around. Did you find the adjustment easy or hard? I mean, I'm trying to adjust my calendar right now. What's one of the priorities that you looked at to adjust your schedule to fit best for you?
A lot of it is simply realizing where time is wasted and how to be more efficient with it. So, for example, for a while I was allowing clients to book themselves for coaching slots Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. But sometimes if we were meeting downtown as opposed to virtually in my space in Center City, then I might only be going into town for one session in a day. And then I could stay there or I could go home, but it didn't it was a lot of commuting for one session. So instead I shifted it, and now I go into town twice a week. If a client wants to book himself or herself for a coaching session, these are the 2 days. And if you need it on a different day, then we meet virtually.
Absolutely.
And so I'm only commuting a couple of days, and I have my work from home day. I get to see my son more often. I'm not bouncing around and wasting a lot of time on a day like today when I get to be here at the studio. It's a little detour from the norm, and that's great. I get to work that in. But it definitely helps me keep my sanity and keep control of my time.
Where time is wasted. That's important.
Huge.
Where time is wasted. Think about that. So what do you do to take breaks? You talked about, talking about not wasting time in the car and commuting. And how do you take breaks? What do you do for fun?
In the middle of the day, or just like vacation kind of breaks?
Just in the middle of the day, or even vacation-wise, just overall, how do you relax, relate, and release?
Well, like I mentioned, when I'm working from home, my son is my break. So a 10-minute, wrestling match in the middle of the living room floor is fun, or just having lunch with him, hearing him sing songs and just play. That's something that lifts the heart and just is a little exhale and allows me to decompress and then get back to work. So that's something that always puts a smile on my face. But I love the beach. I used to love dancing. I haven't danced in a while.
Oh, what kind of dancing?
I was a swing dancer. I loved all that old Lindy Hop and Jitterbug and fun things. Used to teach some classes, which was a lot of fun. But evenings with the girls or date nights with my husband are always fun as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. It's very important, everybody, when you're running your own business, to have some break time. That it's not 24/7. There's this misconception I see on social media about just hustling hard and just driving yourself into the ground. And I don't see that being very long-term and productive. So it's nice to hear, that success can happen with breaks.
And you have to nurture yourself, not just professionally, but you have to, which is good, going to conferences, and there's plenty of all-nighters or close to all-nighters, late-nighters, as the case may be. That's just par for the course. But you have to nurture your relationships. You can't abandon your significant other, your kids, your faith community, or whatever you need. You have to build those things in. And if you are scheduling them, schedule them. I know that in the mornings, when I get up, which is when my little 3-year-old alarm clock decides to yell, "Mommy," from the other room, whatever time that might be, I'm going to go running. If I don't do it then, it's not going to happen. And if I don't get that exercise in, more often than not, then I'm not starting the day off right. I have to take that time physically to feel healthy, and then my brain is focused moving forward and eating well, and with the chocolate here and there, it's all balance, right?
Exactly. Right. You can have it all, just not all at the same time.
Exactly. That's the challenge.
That's great, though. That's really important to have, morning rituals, afternoon rituals. Again, that flow.
And I'm not a routine person for the most part. I'm a runner just in that it's what I've become. I don't actually like running. I like having run. And that's important.
The after effect.
Yeah, I like just knowing that, okay, I actually did it, as opposed to hitting snooze for an extra half hour, which my son doesn't have a snooze button, so there's no chance at this point. But instead of getting up and feeling like I wasted that half hour and now I wish I'd run and I didn't, and whatever else that would come along with that freedom, whether you're counting calories or whether it just is the endorphin rush you get, doesn't matter. I will feel better later in the day if I know I've done it first. So I keep telling myself, even when my brain is going, I don't want to run,
just want to sleep.
The other half of me is saying, yeah, but you will want to have run when it's over.
You'll feel better later.
Yeah, you'll kick yourself if you don't. So
it's good medicine. That's great.
Whatever's going to work for you to get you out of bed.
Excellent. I'm going to take that on as my elliptical challenge.
Yes.
One last question.
Sure.
What would you share with yourself, your younger self? Any nuggets of knowledge that you would share with your younger self?
As far as career development is concerned?
Yep, or leadership development wise, yes.
I think on the one hand, just trusting that eventually things will fall into place. You'll find your niche, and it will make sense in the long run. My career path was very twisty and turny, and there were a lot of things that took a lot longer than I expected, and I kept going, is this going anywhere? And so just to have faith that it would, to relax a little bit more on that front. And from a business perspective, in marketing, there were definitely some larger financial investments and risks that I took where people promise, oh, this is going to generate leads and and it was, yeah, a great big flush worth of a lot of money. So I wish I had known earlier that these people who promise X, Y, and Z, maybe it works for a different industry or a different kind of person, but don't waste your time and money here.
Absolutely. Amen. I wish, I hear you. I hear you.
Right.
So how can we learn more about you? Where can we find you?
You can definitely go to my website, which is vocalimpactproductions.com. My book is there, as well as a bunch of other resources if you're looking for videos. Like this TV show, we'll have it up there as well. Other conferences I've spoken at or different podcasts. So if you're looking for any additional information, that's a great place to start.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Joyel, thank you for having me.
Totally run out of time. It always happens like that. But loved having you on, and definitely don't forget to reach out to her. Use your voice, be authentic, and thanks, Laura, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We'll see you next time on Career View Mirror, Mondays at 1:30. Take care.